Welcome to today's edition of the WrestleCord podcast news break. It is April 24th, 2026, and we're going to talk a little bit about what happened on TNA Impact last night on AMC. There are definitely spoilers in here, folks, so be prepared. We had Casey Navarro helping Nick Nemeth get a win over the System's Bear Bronson. We also had Frankie Kazarian coming out pretending to be Elijah, dressed in a full beard, had a guitar, started playing a song, mocking Elijah, calling him his daddy, and he would then suffer for that, getting choked out by Elijah, who would then take the guitar and sing a song of himself, setting up for what's going to be a Frankie Kazarian versus Elijah match in what Elijah dubbed the Walk with Elijah guitar strap match. So looking like some variation of a strap match here. I guess time will tell. Some bigger news coming out of that. I thought a shock victory here. We had Dutch of the Righteous getting a win over the Hardy Boys' Matt Hardy with help of his Righteous partner, Vincent. The match started with Dutch actually jumping Matt before the bell rang. And they would do a wild fight back and forth. Matt Hardy actually doing a lot of offense in this match, and at one point putting Dutch on a table on the outside and then diving for an elbow drop. It did not break the table. In fact, Matt bounced off the table. Dutch bounced off the table. The table flipped over. It was a pretty wonky spot. But in the end, Dutch was able to. Vincent slid a chair into the ring. The ref went to dispose of the chair while his back was turned. Matt had headed up to the top rope. Or I believe it was the top rope. And Vincent came in pushing him off the rope. Dutch hit him with that black hole slam or boss man slam to get the 1-2-3 over Matt Hardy. And then in a super exciting main event for the TNA World Championship, we had our champion Mike Santana defending against Baltimore native Rich Swann. Me, a Baltimore native myself. I always feel the need to mention that. And what a great match these two had. Really hard fought by Rich Swann, and in the end, it was Mike Santana getting the 1-2-3 and retaining his TNA championship. A pretty good show. We had the Elegance brand showing up. We had Tessa Blanchard showing up. A pretty good show, folks. I really enjoyed. We don't often hear on the WrestleCord network watch TNA, and I've been starting to watch it more lately. And I don't love everything they're doing, but I did like this show. So some outside of TNA news, let's explore the wider world of wrestling. We had a little incident on Good Morning Football. I didn't even really want to mention this too much. It looks like this was all setting up some sort of future feud of some kind just to get publicity. This really was, where we had Kyle Brandt. Seth Rollins was the guest on the show, and we had Kyle Brandt sort of goading him, saying the NFL is better than the WWE, calling it a scripted, predetermined sport, which I thought if they're setting up something in the future, this is definitely not the way you want to do it. And eventually Seth Rollins getting upset and walking off. This looked very much staged, in my opinion. Then we also had WWE. It was announced that has taken a trademark out on the name Mason Rock. Looks like this is going to be used for a future wrestler's name. Not sure exactly who's going to get this moniker. I'm not a fan. I really am often not a fan of the names WWE imparts on their indie talent that they sign. Another quick note, coming out of WrestleMania weekend, we had WrestleCon releasing a statement saying that they had been in contact with Carlos Silva a few days before the weekend events, specifically the March Hitchcock Memorial event, which was going to be originally headlined by Leon Slater taking on Ricochet. That match getting pulled because TNA did not want Leon Slater facing a AEW guy. Other matches on that weekend getting pulled because of this. Nick Nemeth versus MJF. Also, Moose was supposed to appear. He was just completely pulled from his card. But in the statement that WrestleCon released, they said, speaking about Carlos Silva, he took a beating the last few weeks, so I want to give him props today. A week ago, he called me personally to explain his reasoning for pulling the match. He then asked if there was anything he could do to make up for it. I simply asked that he reimburse me for Leon being Leon Slater's flight and hotel, since he was no longer wrestling for us. Today I was reimbursed for the flight hotel as promised. Thank you, Carlos. So I don't know how much that's really helping to repair the reputation of Carlos Silva and TNA in the broader world of wrestling. Doesn't really go very far with me, quite frankly. Some more news involving WWE, and even though that news just a second ago was sort of WWE adjacent, as it seems that TKO was involved in having those TNA pull those wrestlers. But it seems that former IWGP World Heavyweight Champion Evil has officially signed with WWE, as reported by PW Insider. Good for Evil. The guy has worked very hard. I think a lot of what he was doing in New Japan got a bit undercut by the involvement of his House of Torture faction, usually interfering in pretty much every match he had. But he made a good showing in the G1 Climax last year, and I hope that he has a lucrative future. I'm not so sure how well he's going to do, especially at his age in the WWE system. We see recently an older star being signed in Royce Keys, the former Powerhouse Hobbs, not getting a lot of screen time, not really being used very well. Also, we have in our quick news break here, AAA on Fox 2. Tomorrow is Rey Fenix has just been added to this card. He's going to be teaming up with the new La Parca against Money Machine's Guerrero de Oro and Comilio de Plata. And then also on that card, we're going to see El Grande Americano and Texano Jr. versus El Messias and Mecha Wolf. That is all that we so far have announced for that show. If anything changes by tomorrow, you'll hear more about it in tomorrow's news break. And then just to round out our news break here today, I just want to mention that Hiroshi Tanahashi, the president of New Japan, has been added to do commentary for Stardom's upcoming card tomorrow night, or tomorrow, depending on what part of the world you're in. Stardom's All-Star Grand Queendom. It looks like he's just going to be doing commentary. He will not be wrestling. He retired earlier this year following Wrestle Kingdom. So I just want to go down real quick the lineup for this card. I'm super excited, folks. I suggest everyone check this out. We're going to have Natsupoi versus Maki Ito. We're going to have Saori Ano versus Fuwa Chan. We're going to see Mi Vida Loca, which is Suzy Suzuki and Rina Yamashita. Rina Yamashita, probably better known to GCW fans as a sort of deathmatch veteran. They will be taking on Maika and Hanako. We're going to have Rana Yamagani, who are the champions, the Future of Stardom champion, taking on Emma Mayashima. Then for the Goddesses of Stardom, their version of the Tag Team Champions, we're going to have BMI 2000, Natsuko Toya, and Roaka, our champions, taking on 02 line, which is Azumi and Miyu Yamasaki, for those Goddesses of Stardom championships. Then we're going to have in a IWGP Women's Championship match. Of course, folks, if you don't know, IWGP being associated more with New Japan actually bought the remaining shares of Stardom just, I think, 2 years ago now. So they are in full control of Stardom. Their parent company, Bushi Road. And so we're going to get Saori taking on AEW star Megan Bayne for that IWGP Women's Championship. I think this is going to be a spectacular bout. I'm super excited to see how these two styles will match. Megan Bayne definitely winning me over as of late with her performances with Lana Cross in AEW. So also on this card for the Wonder of Stardom Championship, we're going to have our champion Konami taking on Hanan. And then in our main event for the World of Stardom Championship, we're going to have our champion Saya Kamitani, a personal favorite of mine, taking on Sayaki Kororara. I never know if I'm saying her last name right. So, but that is going to bring to the end of our today, April 24th, 2026, WrestleCord news break. Thank you, everyone, for joining us for this quick news break. Thank you for taking time out of your day. Please check us out more on youtube.com/ WrestleCord. Also, you can check out the podcast on Spotify, Apple Music, and pretty much everywhere you get your podcast needs. Thank you so much, folks, and we'll see you again tomorrow.